I had been doing this for years, penetrating systems, unlocking encrypted files, and stealing data for a living. But I always knew there was a line I shouldn't cross. At least that's what I told myself. The dark web was full of people pushing those limits, searching for something darker, more forbidden. But me? I kept my distance, until that one night. It was just another regular job. A client hired me to break into a supposedly high-security private server. I'd done it 1,000 times before. But this one felt different. The files I found weren't ordinary. The system seemed oddly alive, like it was designed to test my abilities. I decrypted the files one by one. Most were harmless, encrypted journals, some medical files, and research papers. But then I found it, a folder labeled "This is your last warning." That's when things started to get strange. Inside the folder was a single text file. It contained only a string of code, a series of letters and numbers that, at first glance, meant nothing. But as I looked closer, I realized the pattern in the code was not random. There were hidden messages embedded within it. I began to decode it, line by line, trying to make sense of it. What I found sent chills down my spine. "We see you. We know what you've done." At first, I thought it was some kind of prank. But the messages kept coming, more specific each time. They knew my location. They knew where I'd been. The warnings escalated. "Stop now or there will be consequences." But I didn't stop. My curiosity overtook me. I kept going, searching deeper, breaking through more layers of security. And then I found something that made me freeze. A video file. I didn't want to open it, but something compelled me. I clicked it and the screen flickered to life. It was a live feed of a man shackled to a chair, his face bruised and bloody. He looked into the camera, his eyes wide with terror. "Help me," he screamed. "They're watching you. They're coming for you." The video ended abruptly, leaving me in silence. My heart was pounding. But then the text file updated. Now read. "You've crossed the line. They're already on their way." I tried to erase everything, to burn the evidence. But it was too late. My screen began to glitch, the cursor moving by itself. Messages filled the chat window, one after another, each more frantic than the last. "You don't understand what you've unleashed. They are coming." I logged off and shut down my computer, but the nightmare started immediately. Each night, the same vision, eyes staring at me from the dark, unblinking and empty. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their faces. I don't know what I broke into that night, but I know it wasn't just a server. It was something far darker. A college student named Jason, name changed for anonymity, was always fascinated by technology and the hidden corners of the internet. He'd heard about the dark web through forums and YouTube videos, and his curiosity pushed him to explore it. He wasn't looking for anything specific, just exploring out of boredom. One evening, Jason downloaded Tor, the software required to access the dark web, and started browsing. After navigating through some harmless and strange websites, he came across a forum that discussed live streams of real events. The thread didn't specify what the events were but hinted at something exclusive. Intrigued, he clicked on a link shared by a user with an encrypted name. The link led him to a dark, minimalistic page with a countdown timer. Below it were instructions. The stream begins in 10 minutes. Viewer discretion advised. There were only a few cryptic comments below the timer. "You won't sleep after this. It's the real deal. No turning back." Jason assumed it was fake, a prank or some shock video to scare new users. As the timer hit 0, the screen flickered and a live stream began. At first, the room shown in the video was empty. It was dimly lit, with a single chair in the center and an ominous feeling in the air. Suddenly, two figures appeared on screen, both wearing masks. One dragged what appeared to be a bound and gagged individual into the room. The person was struggling, clearly terrified, but their cries were muffled. Jason's stomach dropped. This wasn't a prank. It was something real and horrifying. The chat beside the video was active. Viewers were typing things like, "Make it slow. Use the knife. This is going to be good." Jason panicked. He tried to exit the stream, but his browser froze. His cursor wouldn't move. He could only watch as the masked figures began tormenting the captive person, taunting them. The actions became increasingly violent, the screams unbearable. In a desperate attempt to leave, Jason force shut down his computer. When it powered back on, he deleted Tor and everything associated with the dark web. He thought it was over. But then, strange things started happening. A week later, Jason received an anonymous email with no subject line. The body of the email read, "You shouldn't have left." Attached was a screenshot of the live stream he tried to escape from. But the chilling detail? In the screenshot, his webcam feed was visible in the corner, showing his horrified face watching the stream. Jason hadn't realized his camera was on. The emails didn't stop. More screenshots came, some of them showing his daily life. Him sitting at his desk, sleeping in his bed, or walking to his classes. He reported it to the authorities, but they couldn't trace the emails. Whoever was behind it knew how to hide their tracks. Jason eventually dropped out of college and moved back in with his parents. He changed his computer, phone, and email addresses. But he never felt safe again. A man named Ethan, a tech enthusiast, stumbled into the world of the dark web after a late-night conversation with friends. They joked about the bizarre things people claim to find there: illegal marketplaces, secret government files, and strange, forbidden communities. Ethan, always curious, decided to explore it for himself. He downloaded the Tor browser and began poking around. Most of what he saw was unimpressive. Poorly designed websites, drug listings, counterfeit items, and chat rooms filled with conspiracy theories. It wasn't as mysterious as people made it seem, at least not at first. Then he found the Shadow Vendor. The website had no graphics, just a plain black background with white text that read, "For the truly curious, find what you've lost. Discover what you've hidden. Pay the price." There were no instructions or product descriptions, just a single form asking for your name and email address. Against his better judgment, Ethan typed in a fake name and a burner email. A message appeared immediately. "Welcome, seeker. You will be contacted." Hours passed with no response, and Ethan brushed it off as a prank site. But the next morning he woke up to an email in his burner inbox. The subject line read, "We found something of yours." The message was unsettling. "We know what you've lost. The cost is $500 in Bitcoin. Pay and it will be returned to you." Attached was a photo of Ethan's old wallet, something he had lost years ago while hiking. The wallet had been special to him because it contained a small, unique charm his grandmother had given him. Ethan's stomach turned. How could anyone have found this? Convinced it was some kind of elaborate trick, Ethan ignored the email. A few days later he received another message. This time, it included a photo of his childhood home, taken from the front porch. The subject line read, "The price doubles for hesitation." Panicked, Ethan checked his Bitcoin account. He had enough to pay the original amount, but not double. He replied to the email, begging them to reconsider. Minutes later, a new message appeared. "One final chance. Pay now or pay forever." Terrified, Ethan transferred the money. Moments after the transaction cleared, he received an email with the subject, "Delivered." The email included a photo of his wallet on the front steps of his current apartment. Ethan hesitated to open the door but eventually peeked outside. Sure enough, the wallet was there, placed neatly on the mat. Relieved but shaken, Ethan brought the wallet inside. Everything was there just as he remembered it, including the charm. But something was off. The wallet smelled strange, faintly metallic, and inside was a note written in shaky handwriting. "You paid the price. You're theirs now." The next few weeks were quiet, But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Small, unexplainable things started happening. Lights flickered. Objects moved around his apartment when he wasn't home. Then the email started again. This time they weren't asking for money. The messages were cryptic with phrases like, "Do you miss it? You owe us more. Look outside." The final email Ethan received contained a live feed of his own living room, filmed from a camera he never installed. The dark web had given Ethan back what he'd lost, but it had taken far more in return. To this day, Ethan doesn't know who the shadow vendor was, or what they wanted. But he lives in constant fear that they'll collect again.